too much further into our game playing and our foundation work, it might be handy if you know what sort of trainer I am and what sort of trainer I'm hoping to make you. I am a games-based trainer, but I'm going to explain that a little bit more as we go along. What qualifications have I got? Obviously, I've done a lot of courses. I have done courses in dog psychology, obedience instructions. I have done multiple online courses to teach me how to train this and recalls and the purpose of it. I'm just about this far away from becoming what we call now a behaviour practitioner. In my day, we used to call them dog behaviouralists, but now we've got a bit of a fancy name. So I know a lot about dogs, and not just how to train them, but how they think, how they work, how it all started back years ago. I've got up-to-date information. And that up-to-date information is so important for you to take forward into your training. Now, what sort of trainer am I? As I said, I'm games-based. What is a games-based trainer? Well, I'd have to go back, and I'm going to give you 3 types of trainers. And the first one, and this is going back into like the 1970s when dog training, listen, it was really funny. I'm going off the subject a bit here, but this is what really amuses me about dog training. There's a lot of people that are trainers. They have no qualifications except for they've won a lot of, especially in the working dog, I'm talking about working dog, they've won a lot of trials. And I guess that gives them some qualification in its own. It gives them a qualification on training. Does it give them a qualification on the real bits and pieces and the nuts and bolts of a dog? Sometimes they can be quite wrong. And the other thing with a trainer that hasn't done any of this study, and everybody says, oh, it's only book work. It's not, because you have to put it in action. It's not just book work, you have to put it in play. And you'll see, the more videos I'll do, you see, I do actually train dogs, not just talk about them. But the thing that amused me with Facebook and these sort of trainers, you've got to remember these sort of trainers have been taught by other trainers, or they've been taught by their father, or they've been taught by their grandfather, or the biggest one, they've been doing it for 30 years. Now, it's amazing because why I think that's quite funny is with every profile I see is I've been training for 30 years, and then somebody else will come up and say I've been in the industry for 30 years. This 30 years must be the thing that says, right, you are qualified. So everybody sort of seems to put that up. So I've worked out that prior to 30 years ago we never trained dogs, or we didn't know how to do it or something like that. But anyhow, that seems to be the benchmark on whether you're a good or a bad trainer, that you've been doing it for 30 years. It'd be terrible if you've been doing it wrong for 30 years, isn't it? But I don't think you have. I think what it is times change, more studies are done, education is better, we know a lot more. The world of dog training is changing, and it really is. But the trouble with the working dog industry is we still hold on to those old values. Those values like the 1947 study on the pack animal, that they are a pack animal, we've got to be the alpha male, you know, all the things about, oh, don't forget to do the, you know, what is it, the alpha roll, when you roll your dog down, put your big foot on its neck and all that sort of thing. It all was based on a flawed study. And even the person that did it, the scientist that did it, had to come out later and admit he did it wrong. He put a group of wolves together that weren't even related, didn't even, you know, they had not grown up together. He stuck them together in a very much a, laboratory surrounding, and he observed them. And are they going to get on? Man, you put a group of strange dogs together and tell them to get on and sit there and watch them. And you are going to get this whole fighting and alpha, and whole this thing is going to happen. That's where the alpha dog, the pack animal and all that originated from. an absolute flawed study. And that's been debunked for years, but we still hold that. But why? Because we love the dominance theory. We love the idea that we must dominate or we must control. For humans like us, we love control. And that's why we hold on to it. Now, taking that forward, that is around the 1970s, that was our trainer one, what we call a trainer one, an aversive trainer. They train in the problem. They train with aversive things. They might use slip leads, choker chains, even e-collars, a lot of correction and a lot of dominance. In other words, they like to be the leader of the pack or the alpha male. And that is where I started. So I was trained that way. And I truly did believe in it. So don't, it's not unusual. The only unusual part about it is it's still going on today, worse luck. Now then Trainer 2 come along, and they were a bit airy-fairy. They were better, but they were a little bit airy-fairy. Around the 1980s, 2000, they believed in reward the good, ignore the bad. Sounds fantastic. Again, it's like most of the puzzle, but not the whole of the puzzle, because you can't keep ignoring the bad. You have to manage that bad behaviour. You have to do something about that bad behaviour. You can't, and just remember this, that bad behaviour is doggy behaviour. They just know no better. Dogs will do what they've always done. We might have allowed them to do it and all of a sudden we don't like it. Or, they're just doing something that comes natural to them, but it doesn't fit into our house, our work, whatever we're doing. So we have to direct it a little bit better. So we can't just ignore it. Then there's trainer number 3, come around in about the 2015, 2010, around that. And they are what we call the concept trainer, or the games-based trainer, the rewards-based, games-based trainer. That's me. Hopefully that's going to be you. So now we're going to look a little bit on what are concepts to start with. Concepts are the strengths and weaknesses that make up your dog's personality. So we're talking about the dog's brain now. Inside the dog's brain, can you imagine it, say, a whole lot of Lego blocks or blocks built up there, and each block is a strength or a weakness of your dog, which in turn makes up their personality. We call them concepts. What are some of these concepts? A concept is like confidence. Your dog is either strong or weak in confidence. It could be grit. In other words, your dog has an ability to work through a problem, or you've got a dog that gives up quite easily. It might be arousal up and down. Your dog may not, when it's up, it has trouble coming down. Or thinking in arousal is another one. In other words, all dogs get aroused, but they've got to be able to think in arousal, make good choices. There's so many. Optimism, pessimistic. A dog could be optimistic, could be pessimistic. We've got to work. Self-control is another one. Disengagement's another one. Disengagement's a fantastic one. Your dog might have trouble, if an animal is running past a wild animal, like you could have a kangaroo or a rabbit or a squirrel or gosh knows whatever, and you have got this fantastic recall on your dog until one of those run past. And then all of a sudden your recall is out the door and your dog is gone. These games teach your dog how to disengage from the environment and concentrate on you. You become the #1 focus of your dog's life. And it's quite simple. We change or tweak their personality to make them the best they can possibly be. Now, how that is so different to Trainer 1, when you look at Trainer 1, he trains in the outcome. In other words, when you've got a dog's brain and an event happens, which is anything in life, whatever happens with that event goes into the brain, they draw on their strengths and weaknesses and they make a choice. They make a split-second choice. Dogs make choices every second of the day. And that choice, you get an outcome. The outcome is the behaviour. Sometimes we like the behaviour, sometimes we don't. But that behaviour is based on the strengths and weaknesses on the dog. Now, trainer number one, which was me, I used to train in the outcome. So if the outcome was something I didn't like jumping on me or running away, generally speaking, I would try to correct that, but I would not look into the dog because I didn't know. I thought I did. I thought I knew everything about a dog. But basically, I didn't know how to analyse that dog, my dog, in front of me. So I would just think, right, that dog needs training. I'm putting it on a lead until it listens to me, obeys me, and I'm going to jerk its head off every time it looks to run after something. Or there was various amounts of different sorts of training. I can remember a school I went to teaching me that if you want to teach a dog their name, let it run to the end of the lead. When it hits the end of the lead, give it a jerk. Do that 20 times. Oh, don't forget to say their name. So it'd be, if it runs away, jerk, Candy, and then it will know its name. That's how we trained. We trained in the fact that we forced them to accept our will. And the trouble with that is that they're less likely to repeat it. They're less likely to do it. Our dogs will do it under sufferance. But then what happens afterwards is that, when we really want them to do it, like when a rabbit runs by, they'll let us down. That recall will let us down because we've trained it in such a way that they don't hold much respect for it. They don't hold much pleasure in it. In other words, it's something they've been made to do. It's something they haven't offered to do. Now, games-based training is all about working within that strengths and weaknesses, but also working in a very positive way on getting these sort of things, getting proximity, getting your dog wanting to stay around you, getting your dog to focus on you, to listen to you, getting that recall that you really, really need. Those sort of safety behaviours that are very important. Boundary, having them to where they stay with you without having a lead on them all the time, or things like that, that they're happy to sit beside you all the time without that lead. Then they're not only very good behaviours, they're safety behaviours. Things that, and also being able to go out for a walk and your dog not attack another dog and things like that. It's all covered in this sort of training. It's a win-win situation. And plus, on top of that, it's proven. If you've got a working dog, I'm going to say a myth here, great myth. If you've got a trainer that tells you that if you feed your working dog treats or you play games, that you will destroy their instinct for stock, they are not an up-to-date trainer. They are dealing in myth, not fact. All my dogs have got big hearts. They work sheep, they love to work, they go to work willingly. Off sheep, they love to play a game with me. They take treats, I give them treats. This is foundation training for all dogs, not just for working dogs. What I'm going to teach you now in these lessons is for all dogs. But for those of you with working dogs that are really in two minds about, oh my gosh, I'm not going to have a dog that looks at me and won't look at the sheep, or won't go to work, it's more interested in playing with a tug. It's all myth. It's been proven to be myth. In fact, as I said, dogs that have this sort of training train up quicker and better. If you do this foundation before you go to sheep, instead of taking a 13 or 14-week-old pup to sheep, get this training done first and your training will be so much easier. So anyhow, off we go. We are going to become a concept trainer. You are, and all you have to do is like and subscribe to my channel. We are going to play games very soon.